Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org and this show in particular. Correct me if I'm Norm. I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Richard Marr, a really wonderful artist. Richard, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
I just wanted to get
to be here.
The opinion part in there first. Your stuff is so beautiful, and I was first exposed to it, I don't know, a couple of years ago. There was like an open studio thing or something. And
Art studio views.
Art studio views. It's all a bunch of stuff and lots of really lovely art. And then I saw yours, and it was just like a whole different thing. It was so beautiful and interesting. And so there it is. That's the plug for your art.
Right.
And where could listeners go to see your art? What's your website?
So the website is OVO.Gallery, but we're in the process of upgrading it.
Okay.
But that's the website.
OVO Gallery.
OVO.Gallery.
Oh, okay.
.com.
OVO.Gallery.com.
So Google OVO.Gallery.
And what is OVO Gallery?
So Carol, my wife, and now agent, and I had a gallery in South Orange in New Jersey for 3 years. And we got it originally because we moved and I didn't have a place to paint anymore. I was using the cellar of our house. And she found what looked like a good studio, but it was a commercial space. So I went down to the town to say, I'm going to move into this space. And they said, well, it has to be some sort of commercial thing. So I said to Carol, why don't we open an art gallery? And she became the curator. And we had several shows for 2 or 3 years. I guess it was 2.5 years. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. And then we had to come up with a name for the gallery. And I came up with a lot of really overly intellectual names.
Come on, give us an example.
Surface. Well, I ended up using surface tension for my own work later, but I was trying to make something that had to do with surface. And Carol came up with a much better idea, which is OVO, which is Latin for egg, which sort of fits because we were sort of an incubator for artists looking to be born, so to speak. So it became OVO.
That's
That's our website.
It's a good name.
Yeah, it's great. And it's very symmetrical, OVO.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned surface tension, which makes me think of water, which is the primary focus of your paintings.
Right. So I'm very interested in environmental issues.
Uh-huh.
I'm also a financial advisor, which is the other side of my brain. And maybe 15 years ago, I read a book by Karl Pope and Michael Bloomberg called Climate of Hope. And that really turned me on to this issue of trying to redo our whole infrastructure to be electric and get, less carbon emissions.
Yeah.
So I started investing my money and clients' money in this area. And I just got deeper and deeper into the whole issue. And so right around this time, I did a performance in our art gallery in OVO. And that one was called Sea Change. And this performance that I do, I've done several of them in my 20-year career, 30 years really, where I interview people in the public and I ask them 3 or 4 questions about some topic. And then I take those answers and I integrate them into some soundtrack of some sort with some music and some sound. So Sea Change, which we did in 2017, was about the rising sea level. So I went to the beach in Florida and I interviewed people and I asked them, do you think the sea level is rising? And of course, it was 2017, so I got a very denying kind of answer. But that became the material for this performance.
So 2017, I mean, this is after Inconvenient Truth and the Al Gore book and after all kinds of environmental hoo-ha, after the Paris Accords. And people are still like, no, it's not rising.
Well, the second question was, if the sea level were rising, or if you believe it is, does it affect you in any way? Does it change your lifestyle decisions? And I would say 10 or 20% said, yeah, I'm thinking about, buying an electric car or something, but nobody who owned a house or a mansion on the beach of Naples had any interest in moving. So, that was kind of an eye-opener. I don't know if I did that same questioning now, if I'd get different answers. Because I think what's happening is bit by bit, the population is becoming more aware of it. The problem now, and as this happens, we're having more and more solutions to the problem. But as it's becoming more obvious, I think people are becoming more afraid of even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just general population.
You say solutions to the problem of climate change?
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
What are some of the ones you see?
Well, most of the energy that's being, new energy plants that are being put in place are renewable power, I think 90% or something. The price has come down from 2009 by 90% for solar power and somewhat for wind. And there's, lots of money being invested in this area. So it's happening. It's just that we live in a period where the news makes you think that it's all been stopped.
Right. And you're a financial planner as well.
Right.
Do you sort of get people into, stocks that support green energy and
yeah,
that kind of stuff?
I tried to do that in a big way probably 5 or 6 years ago. And there was this thing called ESG. Do you even know what that means? Which is interesting because it was all the rage in Wall Street. It stands for environmental social governance. So it's not just environmental, but it's also social responsibility. Are the companies doing the right thing for the society? Are they treating their employees correctly? And the issue was, how do you invest if it's so complicated with lots of different, companies that are involved in lots of different aspects of the economy? And so ultimately, I think it became a way for a mutual fund to claim that they were doing the right thing by saying they were ESG compliant. And then the Republicans got a hold of it and started banning it. So,
on what basis?
Oh, because it's trying to mandate political decisions when it should be all financial investment-based decisions. They went after a couple of pension funds. So since then, I've moved away from the ESG moniker, but I do invest in companies that I can read their annual reports and stuff and see that they are, in fact, reducing their own carbon footprint. A lot of the electrical infrastructure that's being put in place now are being done by very well-financed companies. And so I do invest in those to some extent, some of my clients, but especially my own money. But a lot of this is happening at the private level, where you have small private companies or startups, or even if they've been around for a while. So it's not necessarily companies you can invest in through the public markets.
And you have some stable of clients who have been with you for a while,
Sure.
I'm guessing?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for 28 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And
so I've lived through several cycles of up and down.
So I'm just going to guess maybe you have 50 clients?
About 120.
120. Wow.
Households, we call them.
Households.
So it includes the parents and maybe the grandparents and the kids. And
yeah.
Spouses.
And of those 120, how many of them over the course of you working with them have expressed interest in ESG types of funds?
I would say at least half, but it's not them asking me. It's me bringing it up to them and then them saying, yeah, I really would like my investments to be in that vein.
Right.
They don't research it. I just tell them and they say, that sounds great.
All right. Well, what percentage sort of bring it up on their own, not just responding to
10%.
you? 10%.
10 or 20%. The younger people, by all means.
Right.
Like I'll often have a family and their kids come out of college. They're getting a job and I always want to talk to them so I can help them plan their own financial lives, save money, invest it. And they do in their 20s and 30s.
In planning their financial lives, that's what you do. You're a financial planner. You're not
Correct.
a stockbroker.
Right. When I started in 1997, I took over a business of somebody who was a stockbroker.
Wow.
And the industry changed drastically over the next 5 to 10 years. And it became much more about, fiduciary responsibility, looking at a client's whole financial situation and doing the right thing for them and helping them manage their future.
Right.
Instead of picking stocks.
Yeah. It sounds a lot more interesting than picking stocks.
Yeah.
And possibly, less downside.
Yeah, we'll have downside. There's always downside risk, and we try to manage that.
I didn't say no downside. I said possibly less downside.
It's how to manage through the downside. That's
Uh-huh.
and that means having a goal and sticking to the goal.
Yeah. And you manage your own portfolio in addition
Right.
to a bunch of 120 households.
Correct.
What is your goal for your investments?
To have it grow, and then when I eventually can't work anymore, to have it pay me back an income stream so that I can pay the bills and
Uh-huh.
then leave something for my kids and also help them while I'm alive.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. It's pretty simple.
No, it's not too complicated.
And I will probably do this for many, many years because I really enjoy it. I love my clients. I like helping them.
Yeah.
And it's a nice offset to the art.
Yeah. It's it's incredible. But it seems like they're coming together, not completely, but on parallel tracks.
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking, so they're very different in one way, in that when I'm doing my day job, I have to talk to a lot of people, and I have to deal with a lot of numbers.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot of planning and projections and calculations, and a lot of interpersonal discussion. And I really enjoy that. And at night, when I'm painting, I'm not talking to anybody, and I'm just dealing with images. There's a lot of planning that has to go on, but there's a lot of intuitive kind of reacting to the materials. And so the balance of those two things is very good. But there's a similarity in that when you invest, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And you have to be okay with that and still be able to act, make certain goals and act towards those goals despite not having a guaranteed or an immediate outcome. And when you're painting, it's sort of similar. You don't know what's going to look like, and you want to see how it evolves. And you have to have sort of a sense of where it's going, but you also don't know what the future is going to be. And
So you've got a gambling problem. Do you do that in other parts of your life, or are there parts of your life where you revel in the uncertainty?
Gambling?
Well, not necessarily gambling. Neither of those.
I'm not a gambler.
I'm being glib.
Yeah.
But like baking a pie, that's a crapshoot.
Well,
how
the only
humid is
pie
it?
I bake anymore is a acid allocation pie for my portfolio.
Way to bring it back. And speaking of bar charts, you brought us a fabulous bourbon here. It's American single malt whiskey.
You know, I
not
got that at
necessarily
the Maplewood.
At the what?
Rhinebeck Farmers Market.
Oh, you did. Little Rest. It looks great. Thank you so much for bringing it. Cheers. Let's clink for the radio. Clink.
Cool. What do you think?
Oh, that's really delicious. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. It tastes a little scotchy, a little bourbon-y.
Bourbon. It's mostly bourbon.
And is it made around here?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not far. It's like a...
Nice. I love that farmer's market. So how long have you all been in Rhinebeck?
So we moved here. We bought a house in 2018 in Rhinebeck. We had a house in Sag Harbor, East Long Island, and we lived in New Jersey where we had that art gallery. And so Carol would stay out in Sag Harbor and I would go out on the weekends, which would be like, driving on the Long Island Expressway, the world's longest parking lot.
Oh, God.
And then getting out to the East End and so forth.
And that's because you had an office job.
Yeah. I could work out there too, but so I was working for Wells Fargo in Westfield, New Jersey. And we decided, it was wonderful having that house with the ocean and everything. But we decided to start looking around the Hudson Valley, and we looked at Woodstock.
How come?
I think we went to Dia Beacon, which is a museum, and afterwards we were standing on the Hudson River, and Carol, who reads my mind, looked at me and said, "You want to move here?" That sort of started the ball rolling. And we have a daughter that lives in Albany, which is pretty close. So we just, for the next year, started looking on different towns, Tivoli, Germantown, Woodstock. And we walked into Rhinebeck one day, and that was the end of the decision-making process.
Yeah.
So we spent a few weeks looking at different houses and ended up in town on Montgomery Street.
Nice. Nice. And have you been in the same place the whole time?
Yeah. So we bought the house in 2018 and didn't really move in full time. In fact, there was a Wells Fargo office right in town, so I was able to walk there. And then the pandemic hit. And so I disengaged with my partner in New Jersey and relocated full time up here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been great.
And you were with Wells Fargo for a number of years.
Yeah, many years. Yeah.
And now you're somewhere else, Merrill Lynch?
Yeah. It's a small firm.
Yeah, tiny little thing. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
And Merrill Lynch in Kingston?
Yeah.
So now you drive to work?
Right. Instead of walking 2 blocks, I have to drive over the Brine Cliff Bridge.
Why the switch?
It's a long story, but there's a younger guy who had been there, who had come to Merrill or Wells, and he was going back, and he introduced me to some folks there. And I really, I know this industry pretty well, and I can see that Merrill has done a lot of interesting things with their technology and their investment platform in the last few years. So I'm really happy there. It's been a good move.
And what kinds of things did they do that interested you?
Mainly the technology. This industry is really dependent on having technology that streamlines all of your tasks and communication. And they've just done a good job at that.
Right.
They also have a very good relationship with their bank, another small firm called Bank of America.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And their bank. And so Wells Fargo is also a bank.
Right.
So they're both investment and their own bank.
Right. I like the Bank of America Merrill Lynch relationship a little better.
And
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but how come?
I don't want to really go into that.
You don't?
No. They're trying to fix it over at Wells, but
Well, you won't go into what you have, but what about Wells? What are they trying to fix? What's the problem they identified?
If someone has a bank account and a brokerage account, that should be really one company because it's one client. But there was sort of intercompany disagreements about that.
Gotcha.
So anyway, they're trying to fix it. So we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe move back once they fix it to walk into work.
Yeah,
no.
Right. No,
that was definitive enough. So what are your what I'm looking for? Your philosophies. What are your selling points for
as
your
an artist or a financial
certified financial planner at Merrill Lynch in Kingston? Because I assume people are going there for you, not for Merrill Lynch.
Right. Yeah. So my job, I see it as getting to know my clients as best as I can and really enjoying who they are, and also staying proficient on financial planning issues and investing, and trying to marry those two worlds, because most clients don't want to do that, or they can't do it. They have a regular job or whatever. And I really enjoy explaining things that are fairly complicated and real language and putting it into basic understanding. And I feel it's fulfilling for me to do that. A lot of my clients are friends. Some clients have become friends, friends have become clients.
Right.
So, and I enjoy the constantly unpredictable nature of the market.
There you go. Back to the gambling.
Yeah.
I call it gambler's mentality. It doesn't necessarily mean there's actual gambling, poker and
there's a lot of
craps
gambling.
and shit, but
there's a lot of gambling now, especially.
Yeah, the tolerance for uncertainty.
Yeah.
Huh. And how's the market doing right now?
As I said, there's a gambling component to it right now. There's a lot of speculative.
It seems like the fix is in so many ways. I mean, over and over and over, I read articles that, just before, the Straits of Hormuz were closed, 8 members of Congress, shorted oil or whatever.
Yeah.
And to the point where it's not remarkable anymore.
That's a good observation. I think that's somewhat intentional. So he's created this mess, and rather than resolve the mess, there's some benefit, I think, to keeping it in messy.
Keeping the chaos rolling.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of what's going on.
What do you think that benefit might be, or might be perceived to be?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of my job is trying to explain to clients that we really don't know what's happening, but we still have to keep our equity intact, through the ups and downs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theory about this, but it's just people speculating. I don't really know what's happening in Washington, but the competence level of people making decisions has gone so far down to, it's a scary time.
So, I mean, I don't have any money in the stock market, but if I were like paying attention to the stock market over all those years, which you sort of can't help but hear some of it, it's like the American pastime. Right now, I'd be like, I'm not putting my money in that shit. The fix is in, the whole thing's game.
So when you say the fix is in, what does that mean?
The example over and over and over. We're going to bomb Iran, and the day, hours before, somebody buys millions of dollars of like futures and armament manufacturers.
Sure.
That's
they
what
short oil, and then
insider trading is what we used to call
announcement
it back in the day. But
Yeah.
you don't really hear that so much anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, just paying attention to that, be like, I'm not investing in that shit. Why would I?
Well,
it's
in
a
Wall Street,
rigged,
there's
it's
this
a rigged
term
game.
called that the market climbs a wall of worry.
A wall of worry.
Yeah. So that's a little bit what's happening. But there's a lot of money being invested in, data centers, but it's also tangentially connected to this electric infrastructure build out that's happening.
Yeah.
And that's going to go on for years. So,
yeah, I saw something in Japan. They were building data centers. They're submerging them in the ocean.
Yeah.
So that the massive amounts of cooling
Right.
could happen there. And I thought, oh, great. Now the oceans are going to heat up even more. And they're probably not. I imagine it's a minuscule effect on the big picture. But that's problematic for people, too. I'm not a fan of AI and its environmental cost.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably fix the environmental problem ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what bring up the Japan thing. I mean, I didn't read too much about it, but I was like, oh, there's a possible
human ingenuity is amazing.
Yeah.
We get through all kinds of unpredictable, crazy periods, and this is one of them.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
And are there things that you see on the horizon, and this is more in this sort of the stock picker range, and that's not your thing, that excite you as investment opportunities?
Sure. Yeah. Again, I think the decarbonization of the energy system is many tentacles, and that's intriguing. I listen to a lot of podcasts. You listen to one podcast, for example, there's one from Oxford. I can't remember, Rossi is his last name. And it's called Zero. And there's always something interesting there. And when you listen to that, they tell you about another podcast. So I've got on my phone probably 20 different podcasts about the decarbonization of the economy.
Right.
And there's a lot going on. It's very hopeful, very interesting. And everybody is also on these podcasts concerned about the current administration. But it's also a temporary problem. It's just a question of, can we survive through it?
Do you think it's a temporary problem?
Yes.
I'm not that optimistic. You think the midterms are going to go off without a hitch?
No.
Okay. That's why I'm not especially optimistic. Well,
I'm optimistic longer term. I'm pessimistic short term.
Right. And that's what all the investment people always say, like, think about this in long-term ways.
I had a New Yorker cartoon on my desk once, and it was two different ones. One was a guy leaning over another guy looking at the computer. He was saying, oh my God, the Dow is up 100 points. Only if we had the foresight to invest 10 seconds ago. And then next to it, there was a cartoon of a financial planner and the client sitting a course from him. And behind the financial planner is a long-term chart going back to the dinosaurs. And the client is thinking, oh, great, here we go, another lecture about long-term investing.
That's funny. And when your clients come to you, are they mostly thinking long-term, or some of them like, hey, I've got like $100,000 in 6 months, I need to double?
No, the first one.
Yeah.
Long-term. They're
Yeah.
looking for someone to take care of their financial future, basically.
Yeah. So you said you listen to a lot of decarbonization podcasts. Do you have earbuds, or you put it on the stereo? And the next
I
question
listen
is,
while I'm painting or while I'm driving.
well, I was going to ask if you listen while you're painting. It sounds like you
I
do.
listen while I'm painting, or I'm listening to a lot of different music, which is great. Or while I'm driving, I end up driving to New Jersey a bunch because I still have clients there. And now I've gotten into when I'm going to sleep at night, because I found you can time it for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and then it will turn off. So I do that.
But you probably fall asleep while they're
Yeah, and then the next day I
droning.
have to go back and replay some of the stuff I missed.
Yeah. That's amazing. How many hours of that do you reckon you listen to a week?
It's a big question. 6? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must keep you very well informed.
Yeah, and there's so much more. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. There's so many more things to learn about. And so if you were a young person going into, the job market, that would be the place to go. In engineering or something. It's fascinating.
That would be the place to go in the decarbonization realm. Yeah, probably. I wonder.
Rather than financial planning, for example, or art.
Yeah. Well, financial planning. I mean, is AI
sort
of elbowing its way into
people
that?
keep saying that it's somehow going to replace it. I don't know. It might eventually, but the human contact is so important.
Yeah. You said you go to New Jersey. You have clients there.
Yeah, I've got clients all over the place.
And I thought, well, why do you need to have face-to-face contact?
It's really, really important. I mean, not all the time, but at least once or twice a year. Yesterday I was in New Jersey, and I spent 3 hours talking to a couple in Short Hills. And, they need to sell their house. And I need to convince them that they need to sell their house.
Yeah.
And that's not so simple because they got a lot of stuff in their house.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with picking stocks. It's like,
No, not at all. It's the bigger part of what you do,
Yeah.
the financial planner.
and you got to know them in order to understand that and have their trust that they can listen to you.
Yeah. So when you go to these clients' places, do you wear a suit and a tie? And
I wear a pair of pants and a sweater usually.
yeah, I mean, you're here in a quarter
This is how I
zip
dressed
quarter zip
yesterday.
sweater,
It's the
and you look
Same as yesterday.
tidy. I see.
I don't think I've worn a tie. I don't know. Somebody's wedding probably I went to. I
Yeah,
didn't wear a tie.
what if your funeral? I'm from Thai. I don't know where it is. But do you have corporate retreats and stuff where everybody
We
just
used to. I don't really go on them so much anymore. But our main office is in Albany, so I will go there once a year or so. They have a get together. I don't have to go, but then I'll wear a tie.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time I wore a
And
tie.
you mentioned the podcast. What other things do you do to really keep on top of
Read
your job?
a lot of books.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I brought you a book.
Oh, you did?
It's called the Joyful Environmentalist,
Oh, that sounds nice.
and it has lots of hints and tips. It's written by a British woman that has a great sense of humor, of how to do things, how to use less plastic, how to compost, so forth.
Right.
So I'll give that to you, and you can put this into practice if you want.
Oh, good. Yeah, the joyful environmentalists. So do you have solar in your house?
We can't because there isn't enough sun, but we use a community solar, and then we also buy wind power. So all of our energy is renewable power.
Oh, that's great, 100%.
Yeah,
And do you get it through Central Hudson?
yeah.
So
Well, it's blanking on the name of the solar company, but they create the power, and then Central Hudson distributes it to us.
right.
Yeah.
And you say distributes, but it's just sort of like moving numbers around on a ledger, right? I mean, they don't
Yeah.
actually have different wires coming from different places.
Right.
They have them all coming into the thing, and you,
Right.
huh? That's interesting. And is it cheaper? Is it more reliable?
Well, you say 10%.
Uh-huh. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And is that a state mandated 10% or a federal thing? I can't imagine.
I'm not sure.
I don't imagine Central Hudson being like, oh, we're going to give people a discount for doing something that's right.
Well, Central Hudson gets paid to distribute, the energy. So there is a big push to have distributed power, so you could put solar power on your roof. And now there's these, it's not quite approved in many states, but you can put a solar array on your porch. And they're doing that in Europe, and they're starting to do it in some of the states in the United States.
Right.
And then you don't even go through the grid. Because when you put a solar array on your house, you're going to send it to the grid, and you're connected. But with these porch-based things, you're not even connected. You're just going directly to your electric power.
Well, that seems very attractive.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
I'll send you an article.
Thanks. I rent.
Right.
Yeah.
You can do it if you rent, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I'll look into it. It'd be nice to not feel like part of the problem all the time.
Yeah.
Do
you feel like you're part of the problem?
Often. I drive a gasoline car.
Right.
I burn oil and propane to keep my house
warm. Yeah, we burn propane too.
You what?
We do burn propane as well.
Yeah. I mean, even, you used to live in Woodstock, even burning wood. I'm like, that's a huge source of particulate pollution.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a scrubber or anything in the sort of like in the house chimney. But yeah, I always feel like I'm part of the problem.
Yeah. So I do two other things with my time. I'm a member of the Citizens Climate Lobby. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
cclusa.org. And we lobby members of Congress for programs that legislate climate solutions. And every year we go to Washington, D.C. and meet with Pat Ryan or, the different senators. So I think last year we had 1,000 of us on the Hill.
Wow.
So we're going again in July. And we've now developed a relationship with a lot of these members of Congress in our own, districts. And that gives you a sense of hope.
Yeah.
And that you're doing something.
Yeah.
And you're learning about the legislative solutions. And you're connected to the legislative process. So you're actually participating in our democracy.
Yeah.
So that also gives you hope. So those two things combined,
yeah,
they offset the feeling that I'm part of the problem.
Right.
And you're doing it with other people. So you're getting to know these people and you sort of collaborate.
And do you see that your efforts are having any effect?
Yeah, I do. This bill, the beautiful bill or whatever they call it.
The big, beautiful bill.
He tried to undo a lot of the tax incentives, and there were some of them that were kicked back. But we were able to hold the line on certain tax incentives. There's also a big push to reduce the permitting process because all this electric power that's coming online has to get transmitted to the places that use it, and the transmission lines need to get built out, and the permitting process takes years and years. So there's a big push, and it can be bipartisan, to reduce the permitting that's required. But we want to make sure that it's the right permits that are reduced, not the important ones.
Right.
And so there is a growing bipartisan interest in that bill on the House, and then it goes into the Senate. We learn about this when we go to Washington. So
yeah.
Where we're given sort of speaking points to present.
And where's that organization headquarters? CC?
It's in Washington. But they've got members, thousands of members all across the country. Some of them are in other countries, in fact. I got into this because there was another group called Results, which does the similar thing, where you lobby Congress for programs that end hunger and poverty. And a fellow named Marshall Saunders, who was part of Results, decided this could be done with the climate. So in 2006, he started CCO. And it's a lot bigger than Results. It's got a lot of members. So
amazing. Yeah. And do you do stuff on the local level as well? It seems there's lots of opportunities around here.
Yeah, well, that's federal, and then there's a New York State-based CCO. So we're talking to Michelle Hinchy and Sarahana and, people in our local district for the state.
Right.
So,
And that's a Democrat and sort of a democratic socialist.
Right. But if there are Republicans, like Lawler is on our, we have to talk to him. So if we had Republicans here, we would be talking to them. There are also Republicans within CCL, not quite as many as Democrats, but, when we go to these conferences in Washington, there'll usually be a workshop where you have a liberal and a conservative talking about how they became friends and how they work together to do this lobbying effort.
Which is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful
but
thing.
More often than not, I feel that the Republicans are on one side,
Yes.
which is, fuck climate, God gave it to
Well,
us.
that's what's
to use,
interesting
and
is there are a lot of Republicans that aren't.
Sure.
They know
but
that there's
by and large.
Right. And I think that's a dormant potential.
Right.
If the current administration would disappear, you would see a lot of collaboration on climate.
Yeah. And if the current administration disappeared, do you think that climate improvements could sort of like get back on track pretty quickly?
I do, because the rest of the world is doing it.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's that one part. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, Washington can't just turn on a dime. I'm like, are you not paying attention? It's been turning on a dime nonstop since this guy's been in office.
That's right.
And I am hopeful that it could turn back
Yeah.
without too much time elapsing.
Yeah.
It's sad to feel so out of step with the rest of the world on these issues.
Right.
Huh. So, I've had the benefit of seeing your paintings and online and in person and talking about all this stuff. You're investing in climate stuff. I feel your paintings sort of like shining through because they're not banging you over the head. They don't obviously contain a message, but they're so beautiful and they're so reverent about the environment and the natural world. Are you thinking about these issues as you're painting?
Yeah, I think so. Water plays a big part of this theme, and I do Tai Chi. I've been doing it 40 years. I started when I was in Asia, and so the process of painting is very fluid. And I don't know. I think if we had an appreciation for nature, and we were able to feel nature in our bodies, not just looking at it, but feel it ourselves, we would be more appreciative of saving, and not destroying our environment. Yeah, I think that's an answer, sort of.
Yeah, works for me. And in which, couple realms of your life do you really feel most connected to nature?
So say that again?
In which areas of your life do you feel most
Well, I do a lot of
connected
backpacking.
Okay.
Not backpacking so much anymore, but hiking. So we go up to the Adirondacks and hike. I also have a kayak that I take and go out on the Hudson Valley and the Hudson River from Hyde Park. So I'm right on the water. Yeah.
Why Hyde Park? Why not Rhinecliff?
There's actually a store called the River Connection right in Hyde Park. I met some folks that were kayaking, and I said, where'd you get the kayaks? And they said, oh, you got to go to Marshall at River Connection. So I went there about 4 years ago, and he's a cool guy. He said, I'll only sell you a kayak if you're willing to come out on the river and try out a few of them to make sure that you have the right kayak. So I did that, and I bought a kayak, and you can just leave it on on a rack down by the landing. You don't have to put it on your car and cart it around.
Oh, that's convenient.
So that's right down in Hyde Park.
And what kind of kayak did you get?
It's a big 17, it's called the Scorpio. It's a 17-foot river kayak. And then the next year, I was talking to Marshall, and I said, I really like to sail. And he said, well, I can put a sail on your kayak. So now I have a little sail, one mast sail on my kayak.
And how big's the sail?
Oh, it's, 4 feet.
Uh-huh. And does your wife go out with you too?
No, she just asks me to be careful before I leave.
Is she a worrier?
A warrior or a worrier?
Either, whatever you want to answer.
She's both of those things.
Yeah. So while you're out, I mean, you probably take your phone out with you.
So I have a little plastic, waterproof case for the
Yeah.
phone that has a clear part of it so that I can take pictures.
Nice.
Because a lot of my paintings are from it's not directly from each photograph, but I use it for inspiration. So I have photographs from kayaking right on the river, so you're sort of down on the water. I've got a lot of photographs from the Rhinecliff boat landing looking up towards the bridge.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And do you ever paint the bridge? Is that ever in your art?
So the first drawing I did was of the view looking north, and that the bridge was there. And then I decided, okay, so Henry Hudson was coming up here, 400 years ago, and he didn't see that bridge. So I said to myself, I'm going to paint this as if it existed before Hudson got here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I saw that painting. I want to read one of your art statements. One of the things you wrote about art for this current show, near and far. Actually, first tell us
Near
about
and
about the show.
So the show is at the Tai Chi Gallery in Millbrook, which is on the second floor of the corner building. And there are 15 drawings and 9 paintings in it. We had an opening on April 18th, and it was pretty well attended. And people keep calling and say they're going to go, so we meet people there. And I'm
Right.
going tomorrow. A friend is coming with his brother.
Oh, what a blast!
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, it was cool.
What an enormous feat.
Now, I should say, Caro, because she was the curator of our OVO Gallery, is now organizing a lot of this. And she found this gallery, and it was just wonderful.
Your
Because
wife, Carol.
my wife,
who's
Carol,
here
yes.
smiling in the background.
Smirking and smiling.
No, let's just stick with smiling. The drawings, are they black and white or?
Yeah, they're charcoal.
Okay.
I'd have probably a total of 150 of those. Those I can do in like 2 or 3 sittings.
Right.
The paintings take longer. There's more planning out. There's more mixing of paint and going over it again and stuff.
And the charcoal drawings, do you think of them as studies for the bigger paintings or their
They
own
sort of
thing?
are, yeah. But they're kind of interesting in their own right.
Yeah.
The light, when you're putting charcoal to paper, you have to leave the paper white. That's where the light comes through.
Yeah.
When you're painting, you have to create the light with white paint or whatever. So there's a difference. It's a different process.
Yeah.
But I really get immersed in the drawings very quickly. I'll sit down with an image and I just start putting the pencil to the paper.
And have you
charcoal.
tried drawing in your kayak in the river?
I haven't, but I don't know. Now Carol might start worrying more.
Yeah.
She's not going to fall out of the boat.
Fall out. I started kayaking a number of years ago, and this guy took me out in Sapasco Lake. And one of the things he said was, like, try to tip over. And I was like, all right. And I leaned over, and I leaned over, and I leaned over. I'm like, oh, my God, I can fall over. And I didn't. He said, lean over some more, lean over some more. I leaned almost all the way over, and the kayak just
Did
didn't
it have a keel?
tip over. No keel,
No.
no rudder.
I mean, I used to whitewater kayak
Oh,
a long
well,
time
that's-
ago,
yeah.
and then you roll.
Yeah.
You go over and you roll back up.
And when you kayak, do you have like an apron in your river kayak?
I don't have an apron. I probably could, but I don't because I'm not worried about the water coming in.
Yeah. You probably don't go out if it's rough or too
Right.
windy or
Right.
anything like that.
And this particular place in Hyde Park, I can only go out when it's low tide or low to mid tide
Uh-huh.
because I have to go under this bridge where the railroad
Oh,
track
jeez.
goes over. And I get, when I buy my subscription each year, they give me the tidal chart so I can make sure I not only get out, but can get back in.
Yeah. I've been under those things. It's just fine unless you're arachnophobic, because they're just
Yes.
packed with spiders.
Spiders and all kinds of
Ugh.
weird things.
Yeah, you get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. So when did you first start painting?
So I've always drawn, even when I was a kid.
What kind of stuff?
I did a lot of superhero drawings. I think I was always into drawing the human body, but I did other drawings. But I never considered myself an artist, really. But I took art classes in high school and did a lot of different sculptures and projects. I mean, I hung out with kids who were not like me in a way. They were kind of working class. I grew up with pretty academic, intellectual parents, and I think I sort of rebelled against them by hanging out with these greasers.
Greasers. And this is in Long Island?
Yeah, Bellport, Long Island.
Okay. Yeah. Greasers. I have not heard that word in so long. I thought you were a lot younger than I am, but yeah, greasers, that was my era.
I'm 68.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So practically the same age.
Yeah.
Greasers. And were you a greaser? I mean, did you?
I tried to be.
Did you smoke cigarettes?
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah. And
so it was in Long Island, and we would in the summer we would dig clams.
Yeah.
So we would get like 3 bags of clams. We'd go out at 6 a.m. I had a boat, and sell them for $30 or $40 a bag. So
wow.
we were making $100 a day. And then we would take 20 of that and buy beer.
Yeah.
And then, pocket the other 80.
And there was a place, I'm guessing, that was sympathetic to underage teenagers.
Well, we had a fake proof,
You had what?
We had a fake ID.
Fake ID. Do you remember what your name was on the fake ID?
No, it was my name.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And it was a New York ID. When I was a kid, I had an ID lived in Cincinnati, and it was from like Colorado or something. And, it worked. But looking back on it, it's like, how dumb. How stupid. If it worked, probably just through the grace of some store clerk's, momentary kindness.
Right. I don't think
whatever, you can go.
Get away with that these days.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. So you had a fake ID. How did you make it yourself? Did you scratch
no,
off?
There was some service, some guy. I don't know what we paid him. I can't remember.
Service. And he split it open with an X-Acto and scratched off and penciled in.
Right.
And how much older did it make you?
18.
Yeah, old enough.
So I was probably 16.
Yeah.
18 was the drinking age back then.
All right. So what brand cigarette were you smoking?
Winston.
Because that's what the greasers were smoking?
Yeah. There was another group that smoked Marlboros.
Yeah. And did you ever have rumbles with the Marlboro smoking gang?
Yeah.
Really? And where were they from?
We drank...
they were from South.
Schaefer.
Schaefer?
Beer.
Oh, Schaefer beer.
Which is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we were.
Yeah, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
That's right.
And
as a cigarette should. Remember the grammatical thing?
Yeah. So did they drink a different beer, the rival gang?
Budweiser.
Huh. And was it just at each other's throats, or was there any?
No, there was some collaboration. There was some overlap. We got along. We would hang out with them sometimes. But we also, it was a pretty racially tense period. So Bellport was about 40% black.
Okay.
And my mother was very progressive. She worked in the African-American community. She was sort of a social worker. So she had a lot of black friends. And my greaser friends were somewhat bigoted.
Yeah.
So they would get in fights with blacks. So I was always conflicted because I was sort of in the middle of this.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting sociological experience.
Yeah. And how did you stop hanging out with the greasers?
I went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
Antioch.
Where? Is in Ohio?
Yeah. So Antioch is a work-study program.
Okay.
Which is why I went there, because I wasn't sure I wanted to go to college. I did have... How much time we got?
It's zooming by as soon as we started talking about greasers and smoking.
So I was going to go to... I had 2 choices for college. One was Washington University in St. Louis as a BFA. It's because I had a portfolio. And the other was Antioch. And Antioch was a work-study program, which appealed to me because I really wanted to work. I couldn't figure out whether I wanted to work or go to college. So I ended up going to Antioch, where you study for 3 months, then you go work somewhere for 3 months, anywhere in the country or the world. Then you come back and study, and you do this for 4 or 5 years. Presumably, towards the end, you know what your major is, and you find jobs in that field. So I eventually did focus on art, and I became an apprentice for a couple of artists. That was one of my jobs.
Amazing.
But none of my friends went to college. So when I went off to college, not only did I go to college, but I went to this hippie radical school.
Yeah.
So when I came back from college, there was even a bigger disconnect.
Right.
It took me a few years to undo all of that.
Are you still in touch with any of your greasy
One of
friends?
them is a client of mine. He lives in Tampa, Florida.
That's so,
And he's really a good guy.
oh, that's so great.
I really
does
appreciate it.
he still smoke?
No.
Good.
Yeah. He was a good influence on me,
Uh-huh.
I think.
So did you go after college? Did you go straight to art school?
So, no, I spent a year traveling around the country. I went to a Zen monastery in California called Tassajara. I did a bunch of things. But by then I knew I was going to the University of Chicago for the MFA program.
Wow.
So I ended up going to Chicago in 1982.
And what was your first introduction to Zen?
John Cage.
Oh,
When I was at Antioch, I had an art professor who was interested in Zen Buddhism, and I started getting interested in Chinese philosophy and Zen Buddhism around that point. And I started reading about Cage, and I remember I did a paper about how Cage is different than Alan Watts, because Alan Watts was a writer about Zen, and they had this sort of divergent opinions about what Zen Buddhism really is in the West, and that intrigued me. And even when I look back on it now, what's intriguing isn't just Zen, but our interpretation of it,
yeah.
how we integrate it into our society and our lives.
Which probably varies from person to person, but
Yeah.
what were their two conceptions, Cage and
So Cage did
Watts.
as you obviously know, what is it, 4 minutes and 22 seconds?
433?
Yeah. He felt like he's trying to enlighten people to just the normal sounds of life, because you sit there waiting for the music and all you can hear is people shuffling their feet, and that this is Zen, right? And Watts felt, though, you're taking it out of context. Watts said when you're a sumi painter, you're trying to integrate yourself into the moment, and that's Zen. But he's talking about it's in the context of Japan. So I think that's, I don't know if that characterizes what the difference, but that's,
Yeah, they don't sound mutually exclusive.
yeah.
And I used to listen to Watts all the time when I lived in the city on WFMU. They had the Alan Watts Radio Hour.
Wow.
And it was just, and they probably still do. And it was just great. I loved his monotonous delivery, and it was, very soothing and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
But I don't know a lot about him apart from what I heard. Did he study under D.T. Suzuki as well as
Yes,
Cage?
I think so.
So they both had sort of the same master,
Right.
but then interpreted slightly differently,
Yeah.
which is,
So,
for
as I
me,
said-
that's Zen.
What's that?
For me, that's Zen.
Huh.
That, the same master, two students are going to interpret that stuff completely differently, and that's just
Right.
so beautiful.
So I don't know how much time there is, but the Tai Chi that I do, I started doing it when I was in Chicago with a fellow named Wu Ko-chung, who was Master Wu. And he had learned Tai Chi from a teacher named Cheng Man-ching, who was probably instrumental in bringing Tai Chi to America in the 60s. And I went to Taiwan to continue learning with him. And I was interested in Chinese philosophy, as you know, and so this was my chance to get into the belly of the beast
Yeah.
and learn about what it's really like. I came away sort of realizing American culture is so different that I can't really understand what they're talking about. But the process of learning Tai Chi is in your body. So this is a feeling that you have. And fast forward, I now learn from a fellow in Asane, who's almost 90 years old, that I found about 3 years ago. And he learned from the same Cheng Man-ching that taught the fellow in Chicago that I learned.
Right.
And he's a retired physics teacher. So he brings a Western perspective to Chi and Tai Chi. And so this has been a really great period for me to sort of put it all together.
And this physical practice has helped you to really sort of internalize the Zen teachings?
Yes. Yes.
What a fucking treat. One of the things I want to ask you about, because it's in your statements a bunch of times, is that the art really needs a viewer to be complete.
Yeah, and it was my agent that convinced me of that.
Your agent. Yeah. I've seen your agent around. She seems pretty
She's
nice.
a secret agent.
Yeah.
So when we had the gallery, she wrote something about it. It's on the website, that art isn't finished until someone sees it, brings it home, puts it in their house. And there was a show that I had a piece in at a museum in Huntington years ago, and someone emailed me and asked me if I wanted to sell the piece to them. So I did. And they asked me if I could deliver it. So I brought it to their house. And I get there, and they welcome me into the house, and they say, "Oh, wonderful. Where can we put this?" And so I spent the next 2 hours going through their house, finding where on the wall to hang this painting that I had done. And for me, it sort of closed the circle, because, oh yeah, that's what it's all about. It isn't about some art theory and some art forum critic that's going to philosophize. It's about some real person responding to this thing that you did.
Okay, love that. But you must have stacks of paintings leaned up against the wall that haven't sold and haven't found homes.
Yeah. Do you know where they are? You can get rid of them.
Are they less complete as works of art than a piece that's been hung in somebody's living room?
I think so. Yeah. You know, my son, who's a musician, we talk about this sometimes, says that the music itself is different when someone else is listening to it. When you're creating it, you know, you're playing music.
Yeah.
It's a different. You feel it as the musician. It's when you're playing that someone's sitting there listening to it. It's different.
Yeah. And
that's why AI is not going to take over the world.
Well, here's hoping. And do you make music as well?
I play the harmonica.
And one of the pieces I saw, you had, art. You were moving things around, and you had a soundtrack of people answering questions. And you said you're working on a new piece now with different people answering different questions.
Correct.
Can you describe this piece quickly?
So this will probably be 15 minutes, and the benefit is for riverkeeper.org.
Okay.
So the questions this time will have to do with the river.
Oh, great.
And I'm going to ask you some questions after this interview.
Oh, good.
And record them.
Oh, geez.
And there will be somebody from Riverkeeper to speak about the organization. And then we will sell drawings, and the proceeds from the drawings will go to Riverkeeper.
I love that.
So I feel like after all of these years of doing these performances, I have a purpose for it and some sort of mission behind it.
So good. Yeah. And a financial aspect of it as well. It's a perfect marriage of your artistry and your financial desires.
Money makes the world go round, I guess.
Guess what? We're exactly out of time right now.
Okay.
Richard Marr, it flew by. Thank you so much.
Near and
for
far.
Coming in and talking. And I look forward to seeing this next body of work.
Good.
Did you see that movie, The Keeper?
It's supposed to come to the museum, the Maritime Museum, June 4th. I tried to get in to see it in Rhinebeck, and it was sold out.
Right.
So,
all right. We got to scram. Thanks again for coming in, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a great Friday and a fabulous weekend. Thanks to the Epicurean for letting us camp here, and producer extraordinaire Jen Hammoud for pushing all the buttons and dials and whatnot. Thanks again, Richard Marr.
Thanks, Norm. Thanks, Jen.